Mexico City, layered in smog and soul, rising in tourism yet still full of quiet corners, underrated museums, incredible restaurant options, and yes, traffic. Follow along as we flow through Xochimilco, make conchas by hand, enjoy some lucha libre, and wander between centuries, from colonial stone to steel and glass. We arrived from Querétaro, which if you haven't watched, I'll be sure to link it below. It was a 3-hour bus ride to the North Station. We chose Premier Plus, and the ride was mostly smooth. The seats reclined generously and had leg support as well. There were screens on the back of the seats and 2 bathrooms in the back. After checking into our hotel, we immediately went across the street to La Casa de Toño, which came highly recommended by locals. They had 2 locations in Juárez where we stayed. The service was quick, the price is low, and the food was probably the best traditional Mexican food we had this trip. We each got 3 tacos, which had a generous amount of tender and juicy meat. We stayed near the Angel of Independence, which I always associated with Mexican telenovelas when they set the scene in the city. As you can see, it was boarded up, and we were later told that this happens with the monuments around Women's Day, as protest against feminicide can get intense. After lunch, we went to my beloved Amorino. I go there every time I get the chance to because unfortunately, Portland doesn't have one. And they have the best gelato. I had blueberry cheesecake and amarena. My husband got chocolate and hazelnut. We walked the meal off to the Vasconcelos Library, one of the most unique libraries I've ever seen. It's massive with layers of glass and steel shelves that appear to be floating. The design is modern and almost futuristic. It was named after Jose Vasconcelos, a Mexican philosopher and educator, and it's meant to be a place where knowledge is accessible to everyone. The suspended platforms aren't for the faint of heart. Between the silence of the library and the glass walls, it can feel like the whole structure is gently moving. There's even a giant whale skeleton suspended in the middle, which adds to the surreal vibe of the place. We had a lot of fun quietly exploring the library and pretending to be studious. We Ubered to Alameda Central, a park in Mexico City's historic center, and we were dropped off by a monument dedicated to former President Benito Juárez, which was also boarded up with graffiti against feminicide. Next to the park is Palacio de Bellas Artes, one of Mexico City's most iconic buildings. The building is a blend of Art Nouveau on the outside and Art Deco inside, and it took 3 decades to complete due to the Mexican Revolution and the unstable ground beneath it. It was Monday, so the museum and theater were closed, as all museums in Mexico close on Mondays, but we were able to peek inside. Given that we didn't plan to visit this museum, we were happy to see that the doors were open to the lobby. The Art Deco interior is stunning, from the marble walls to the bronze details. Next, we headed to La Ciudadela, a market packed with colorful artisanal items, textiles, jewelry, and art. We went near closing time, so it wasn't as busy. It was the perfect place for a magnet and souvenir. Our home for this day was Hotel Geneve in the Juarez neighborhood, a true piece of Mexico City history. Walking into the lobby, you're immediately taken back in time. Vintage key racks, the bellboy station, the chandeliers, the marble floors, and the decor. Established in 1907, it was built to cater to wealthy travelers and even some of the most famous figures in history. The hotel has hosted everyone from the famous Mexican artist Diego Rivera to Hollywood stars like Frank Sinatra and Marlon Brando. There's a phone bar decorated with old phones, 2 restaurants, and my favorite was the Vintage Fashion Museum. We were pleasantly surprised by its original charm and memorabilia, making it feel like you're staying in a living museum. You wouldn't know it from the outside, but it really is like a museum. There's even a quiet corner in the back with a barber shop. For dinner, we went across the street to Sushi Roll. The sushi was okay, but I was really impressed with their drink options. I got this non-alcoholic one, and the ramen was very good. The next day, we had breakfast nearby at Maque. They serve fresh bread daily. The packaged one was still warm in its bag. My husband got eggs and bacon on fries, and I got a prosciutto baguette with a salad, which I thought would be kale, not lettuce. I pointed it out to the waiter because lettuce just doesn't offer much nutritionally. They took my plate and kind of resolved it by throwing some spinach on it. One of the most meaningful stops on our trip was the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe, the spiritual heart of Mexico. This is where millions of pilgrims come each year to see the image of the Virgin of Guadalupe, believed to have appeared to Juan Diego in 1531. The modern circular basilica was built in the 1970s to hold the huge crowds. We ended up arriving right when the 10 a.m. Mass started and ended up staying. Just steps away, you'll also find the original colonial-era church and other chapels, as well as beautiful and well-maintained gardens. December of 1531, a humble indigenous man named Juan Diego was walking across the Tepeyac Hill, just outside of what is now Mexico City. There he saw a radiant woman surrounded by light. She spoke to him in his native Nahuatl language and revealed herself as the Virgin Mary. She was asked that a church be built in her honor on that very hill. When Juan Diego shared this message with the bishop, he wasn't believed, so the Virgin gave him a sign. She told him to gather roses, miraculously blooming in winter, and carry them in his tilma, a woven cloak. When Juan Diego opened his tilma before the bishop, the flowers fell, and there on the fabric was the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, the same one still on display today in the basilica. That moment changed history. It became a symbol of hope, unity, and deep faith for millions, especially among the indigenous people of Mexico who ended up converting. Back in the center, we had a delicious lunch at Comal Oculto, a tiny restaurant with a community table that fits about 12 people. We arrived before more people came, and everything we had was delicious, from the berry agua fresca to the beautifully presented dishes.
And so he was like, is this a perfect decision? Do you need some time? And then he's too.
Afterward, we walked to Chapultepec Park, one of the largest city parks in the world and more than twice the size of Central Park. Chapultepec holds layers of history: quiet corners, a castle, food stalls, families, museums, and lakes, even if a little dirty. Yeah, no, a second. Tucked within Chapultepec Park is the Museo de Arte Moderno, the Modern Art Museum, a calm, elegant space that feels both grounded and surreal. Its circular layout leads you through a sculptured garden before crossing over to the other buildings, where you'll find works by artists from all over the world, including locals like Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo, and Juan O'Gorman. My favorite are the surrealists, Remedios Varo and Leonora Carrington. They had quite the selection of Varo's work, a Spanish-born surrealist who made Mexico her home. Her art feels like a dream you barely remember, or a suppressed memory you try to understand. Alchemy, mysticism, machines, gender, and solitude, all woven into intricate, otherworldly scenes. I spent a lot of time here consulting with ChatGPT to understand her symbolism. Although there were less works by her, Carrington's pieces also are rich in symbolism, mythology, and alternate realities. After the museum, we had a coffee break at Mignon, a French pastry shop I learned about through a French YouTuber who lives in the city. If you are in need of a coffee break and looking for something sweet, this is definitely the place. I got a lemon cake, which looks heavy but was very light, and my adventurous husband tried a chocolate souffle type cake with a hot sauce. That night, we got together for a group experience we found on Airbnb. Lucha Libre with a fan who understands the sport, and pre-dinner all included. Lucha Libre isn't just wrestling, it's a spectacle, a fusion of athleticism and theater. Masked wrestlers, or luchadores, embody good versus bad characters, battling in the ring with flips, acrobatics, and dramatic flair. For many, it's not just a sport, it's a cultural tradition filled with history, passion, and a bit of comedy. Whether you're a fan or not, seeing a Lucha Libre match is truly a unique experience in Mexico City.
¡Como me gustan! ¡Aunque tenga que ir a terapia!
Cute tiles. The next morning, we had breakfast at one of the restaurants at our hotel. It was very good and very filling, though a little expensive given local standards, but at least our check came in a cute little musical typewriter. We had yet another all-day Airbnb experience with getting picked up at around 9 from our hotel and being taken to our first stop, Xochimilco. South of the city lies what is often called the Venice of Mexico, a network of ancient canals that once nourished the Aztec Empire. Today, it's an escape from the city noise where you can float down the water in colorful trajineras, all with female names, passing floating food vendors, mariachi bands, and families celebrating everything from birthdays to Sunday. We were there on a Wednesday morning, so it was quite peaceful. Luis and I have done the Xochimilco experience from Xcaret and Cancun a couple times, which is essentially the knockoff version, but very fun because dinner and all-you-can-eat drink is included. And if you're up for a thrill, there's the legendary Island of the Dolls, a haunting little stop deep in the canals, which takes about an hour and a half to get there, where old, worn dolls hang from trees, said to honor the spirit of a girl who drowned nearby. In the southern part of the city, Coyoacán feels like a small town inside the capital. In fact, it used to be considered a suburb of the city. Coyoacán comes from Nahuatl, meaning place of the coyotes. With cobblestone streets, various plazas, and colonial homes, Coyoacán gives you a slower, more colorful rhythm. It's known for its bohemian spirit, markets, and of course, as the home of Frida Kahlo, whose blue house draws visitors from around the world. Our tour guide bought our whole group churros. I chose cajeta, of course. Gracias, my love. And afterward, we had lunch at the main market in Culiacan, where I had a delicious burrito with a flour tortilla made with nopal, or cactus. And finally, the moment we were all waiting for, a visit to Frida Kahlo's Casa Azul. Our timed entry was at 3:15, which was included with the experience, but if it's not, you must book in advance. This place is like trying to see the Mona Lisa at the Louvre and requires days, if not weeks, of advanced booking. At first glance, Frida's childhood home looks peaceful, even cheerful, with its bold cobalt walls and blooming garden. But behind those walls is a story of pain, resilience, and unfiltered creativity. At just 18, Frida was in a violent bus accident. Impaled by a handrail, her spine, pelvis, and legs were shattered. She would spend 9 months confined to a bed and lived with a chronic pain for the rest of her life. It was here, lying flat beneath a mirror on the ceiling, that she began to paint, transforming suffering into surreal, unforgettable art. Later, Frida and Diego Rivera would live here together. Their relationship was as legendary and rocky as her art, full of passion, betrayal, and their version of deep mutual respect and love. The house preserves the contrast of her days, a sunny daytime bedroom where she worked and received visitors, and a more private nighttime room where her ashes now rest in an urn shaped like a pre-Hispanic toad, a nod to Diego Rivera, whom she once called the Frog. This isn't just a museum, it's a time capsule of Frida's life, soul, and works that made her unforgettable. Mozzarella para la mía. ¿Tú qué pediste? Spicy.
Yo voy a pedir el mezclado de la casa. Pimiento verde. El verde. Vamos también. ¿Algo más, amigo? Y de ahí de carnes puedo... De carnes sería solo esto.
following day, we had a good breakfast at El Caimencito before walking over to where our next Airbnb experience took place.
Oh, hola, gracias.
This time, we decided to immerse ourselves in the culinary aspect of Mexico by making conchas by hand. This iconic Mexican sweetbread has a pillowy, soft interior and a sweet, crumbly topping shaped like a shell, which is where it gets its name from. Conchas owe a bit of their heritage to French baking. The brioche-like dough is a nod to the influence of French pastry chefs who arrived in Mexico in the 19th century, blending their techniques with traditional Mexican flavors. They may not have conquered Mexico, but they left their mark by introducing new methods of bread making. This was one of the most fun experiences I've ever done, and it was really helpful as someone who's trying to learn how to bake different breads.
Y lo levanto con mucho cuidado. ¿Ya vieron cómo se puede pegar? Entonces a la hora de levantar con mucho... Y ahí está. Esta es la parte final, ¿ok? Súper delicado. Ya vieron cómo esta masa es levantarla. Aquí el truco es hacerlo con seguridad, que no te tiemble la mano. Lo levantas, lo pones acá arriba. Ya que está arriba, muy levemente le vas a presionar a los lados. Así es, justo con seguridad. A ver, Team Vainilla, ¿listos? Con seguridad.
Team Vainilla.
Ándale, ve nada más.
Cobijarlo, sí.
Ándale, muy bien. Déjame prenderles la luz para que puedan tomar unas fotos bien fregonas. Gracias, Laura.
Mucho acondicionamiento, empiezan a darle una gran restauración para hacer que se convierta
Perched atop Chapultepec Hill is Chapultepec Castle, one of the most iconic landmarks in Mexico City. It's a symbol of the country's rich history. Originally built in the 18th century, it was later used as a residence for emperors, military, and presidents, most famously by Maximilian I of Mexico and his wife, Empress Carlota of Belgium, during their short reign in the 1860s. Today, the castle houses the National Museum of History, where you can explore exhibits that tell the story of Mexico's past, from ancient civilizations to the Mexican Revolution. Inside, you'll find stunning colonial-era furniture, artifacts, and a lot of European vibes. Whether you're wandering through the beautiful gardens or admiring the panoramic views of the city, Chapultepec Castle is a must-see destination for anyone visiting Mexico City.
Ese existe.
The rooftop garden is a peaceful escape, providing a glimpse into the elegance of the imperial past. The lookout tower atop Chapultepec Hill gave it a commanding view of Mexico City and its surroundings, which was essential for both defensive purposes and surveillance during the castle's time as a military stronghold. Inside, you'll find intricate stained glass windows and rooms that make you feel like you're visiting Versailles. After about an hour Uber ride in traffic to Polanco, one of Mexico City's most upscale neighborhoods, I seriously began to imagine my life here with the endless museums and dog parks. Polanco is known for its high-end shopping, Michelin-starred restaurants, and exclusive boutiques. I didn't film much here, it seemed quite commercial, but it was nice to see the contrast reflecting the city's advancements as a vibrant hub for global influence. I was curious to visit City Market, a paradise for food lovers and those seeking the finest ingredients in Mexico City. This upscale gourmet market offers a wide range of fresh produce, a ton of pasta, artisan cheeses, specialty meats, imported goods, and restaurants. They have other restaurants over there.
Luca, stylish, wiesz?
Look at these gelatinas. We sat at one of the restaurants and had a variety of tapas: tacos, octopus, patatas bravas, and croquetas. It was expensive for local standards, but so good. We then had gelato, which was, I'm not going to lie, but it was up there with Amorino. On our last full day, we had breakfast at Café Nin, a trendy restaurant that wasn't overall worth the price, though I do love chia bowls. We planned the day in the historic center. We were dropped off at the Palacio Postal, or postal office, which is a masterpiece of architecture. Built in the early 1900s, it blends Art Nouveau, Baroque, and Venetian Gothic styles, showcasing Mexico City's elegance during the Porfirian era. You do have to pay 50 pesos to get in, but we didn't plan for it as we already had plans to go across the street to visit the National Art Museum. Housed in a majestic neoclassical building from the early 20th century, the museum holds a collection of Mexican art from the 16th to the mid-20th century. From colonial religious paintings to bold works of post-independence identity. It's a journey through the country's evolving soul, told on canvas. Even the grand staircase and gilded ceilings feel like a part of the exhibition. historic center, you'll find Plaza de la Constitución, or Zócalo, one of the largest public squares in the world where the Palacio Nacional, or the president's offices, are located. This space has witnessed everything from Aztec ceremonies to modern-day protests and festivals. Just off the main square, there's a smaller plaza where you'll find traditional healers performing spiritual cleansings with incense and herbs, and vendors who offer crafts, charms, and remedies. They're not permitted in the main Zócalo, so this corner has become a kind of unofficial sanctuary where ancient practices live on at the edge of modern government and next to the city's main cathedral. Located near the plaza is the Grand Hotel, a historic gem that has been a symbol of elegance and luxury since 1968. With its stunning French-inspired architecture, crystal chandeliers, suites can cost up to $500 here. In the heart of Mexico City's historic center, La Casa de los Azulejos, or the House of Tiles, is a stunning 18th century Baroque palace renowned for its blue and white tile facade. Today it houses a Sanborns restaurant with plenty of seating around the building, shops, and a mural by renowned Mexican artist José Clemente Orozco, adding to its cultural significance. We came for happy hour where you can get 2-for-1 cocktails between 2 and 3 p.m. We decided to also have lunch here, but next time I just come to visit. Big clock, little clock. After lunch, we went to Foro Valparaíso, a smaller and free museum with 14 galleries showcasing 117 works by iconic Mexican artists. My favorite was this room, which had 1 painting by my girl Remedios Varo, 2 by Leonora Carrington, a couple works by Diego Rivera, 3 by Maria Izquierdo, which caught my attention, and an earlier one by Frida Kahlo. We had Japanese again near a hotel at Urban Sushi, which was good, but we preferred the one from our first night.
I love that it's a copious amount of sound.
We walked by a cafebreria, that is, a cafe bookstore, which was a cool spot, and there was a band playing jazz music. But the books are as expensive as they are in the US or more. I don't know how the average local can afford to buy one. We ended the night at the phone bar at our hotel. There was a musician playing classic rock songs, which my husband and I like.
Can begin to knowing, but then I know it's growing strong.
The next day, we took it easy and ate at La Casa de Toño again before we left. These restaurants are the best. Thank you so much for joining me on this tour of my first time in Mexico City. I already can't wait to go back. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more adventures, and leave a comment telling me which places you'd love to visit first.